Ahora sí. Bueno, buenos días. Vamos a comenzar con las presentaciones. En primer lugar, contamos con la presencia de Jukka Relander, que es presidente de la Asociación Finesa de Bibliotecas y presidente de Blida, entre otras cosas. Y también a Tuula Haavisto, directora de la Biblioteca Pública de Helsinki, como ha dicho Jordi, en singular, que van a exponer la experiencia de su ciudad. Entonces, tiene la palabra Jukka Relander. Gracias.
Gracias. Hola. It's going to be in English, but not Finnish. Okay. You can see that. Thank you very much for inviting us over here. It's been a thrill, and it's wonderful to come here. I can see that Spain is a very hot country, but only in the inside. This conference room. To be honest, we had the same weather in Helsinki when we left. But we also had it in July. So that's maybe the difference. But okay, we shall be talking about libraries in Finland, particularly in Helsinki. And I have a third title, which you can see over there. I'm chair of the Culture and Library Committee in the city of Helsinki. And so working together with Tuula. She's done all the hard work. She's doing all the hard work, and she knows what she's doing and telling me the orders and so forth. But yeah, here we are. First of all, there's a constitutional background for the existence of libraries in a way, because it is defined in Constitution that there are certain people are supposed to be given the opportunity to develop themselves without being prevented by economic hardship. And we have always interpreted this chapter in the Constitution as a very library-friendly notion. There's also another notion in the Constitution which says that all the people must have access to culture. And of course, libraries are providing that. And the interesting question is that what happens when we turn into the digital era, because there are lots of closed gates in the internet. People are trying to prevent your access into certain content, and if we very carefully read our Constitution, it's against it. So this is very interesting, and we haven't been talking about that very much, but we should. And it's also interesting point of view what comes to the e-books and the loan of e-books lending, which is a hot topic in Europe, also in Brussels at the moment. There's a copyright reform going on, and Blida and library networks have been active also in lobbying to have a copyright exception in this new European copyright law, which is a very complicated process, and I shall not go into that. So we go forward. This is more difficult with paper. She's doing it faster with the machine. That's the destiny of the prints. We do have a Library Act, as you have in Spain, as we heard today. There has been some kind of debate that should there be a Library Act, should it be melted to some sort of bigger pact of laws regulating the distribution and funding of the culture. But I think the libraries have been active in promoting the idea we should have a separate library law, and I think we are being successful in that. So it's very much about, but it is under renovation. There's a new government, and we are curious to see what is the cultural will of the new government. So there are some uncertainties, but this law, as you can see written down, defines certain guidelines for libraries, and all the municipalities are demanded to produce library services, as it is in Spain. By the way, there's one thing I want to mention to you, because I have understood that because of the economic crisis in Spain, you have been fighting quite hard for the libraries here in Spain, and actually I have quoted the Spanish example in Finland because we are facing a bit similar situation, and one thing we've been talking about is what is the economic impact of libraries in their surroundings, and I think you have been researching that in Spain, so you have given us good example. Thank you for that. I have some general information about public libraries and the very interesting figures. The most important thing is written down in slide 4. Are we? Yeah, it's red, so you can really focus in it. So according to the Library Act, that is the law, municipalities have to organize public library services for their citizens. That's how it is written down. But we have only 300 municipalities, and the country is quite big. So, and one technically very easy way to shut down libraries is to merge the municipalities, so that one municipality has become one, and then you can close a couple of libraries and spare some money. So, yeah. But now it seems that this merging of municipalities is not so fashionable at the moment, and they are reforming certain processes so that even the smaller and more remote municipalities would survive from an economic point of view. We have some very small municipalities with very reduced resources. Most expensive library services, if you think in terms of percentage, are in Utsjoki municipality, which is the northernmost corner of Finland, 1,000 kilometers north from Helsinki and 1,000 kilometers south from North Pole. So for them to keep up the library is very expensive, but I've been happy they still keep doing it. So we have Finnish people are very active readers. So there are 90 million items were lended from libraries last year. So it's 16.8 loans per capita. And I think that is the highest figure in the world, and we actually chose the world's best library municipality last year. There was one pretty remote municipality in eastern parts of the country. They had 27 loans per capita per year, and I think 20 library visits per capita per year. So there's quite a lot if you include all the elderly people and the small babies and so forth. They're all included in this. So they might have even problem with reading. They are reading too much. But there are the important figures over there. If you're really interested in them, they will be given to you later. Because of the character of the country, there are some areas where we can't produce library services, and they are replaced by library buses. There are lots of them. Now, there has been some debate about the funding of them as well, and actually at the moment today, our Library Association is publishing a statement about, comment to the budget of the states, that how these state-level library services should be funded and so forth. So I was just checking my email, and they are working actively on the ways of saying it. But one of the things which are funded by the states are the library bus services. We also have library buses in Helsinki because we don't have very good school library network, and so they're partly replaced by library buses. There are no libraries in schools, okay, but many libraries are located very close to the schools, particularly in Helsinki area, which is where the population is, which is more compact as a city. And library services, they are financed by municipality taxes and national taxes equally, but I think in average 67% are financed locally. In bigger cities where the economy is better, the percentage is a lot higher, very much higher. I think in Helsinki it's more than 90%, and the 10% which is funded by the state is goes pretty much to different national duties Helsinki City Library has as the central library of the state. And libraries are run by local authorities. also determine the extent of services and allocate funds at their discretion, which means that also the political struggles are always local. There's a certain amount of state money which goes to the libraries, particularly in the remote areas, but I think we have to have the library struggle for the money for libraries in each municipality. And that's what we are doing in Helsinki. They are raising expenses, and we are trying to find more money in the budget to keep up the library network as it is. And it's not easy, but on the other hand, the best ally, the best support we have is the ordinary citizen who is very, very fond of the libraries. And it is unwritten law that every time somebody is trying to shut down a library, there's an immediate movement of the people supporting the library, and usually politicians give up because library users are also very active voters. Yeah. So I'll skip one slide because I speak too much and we have too little time. Our libraries do networking, and that's very important and very interesting way of producing library services, because as there is a very reduced library administration by the state. It's not very big, and it's not very effective. It doesn't really kind of give guidelines to the libraries. So there's a lot of spontaneous cooperation between libraries, and they produce their own networks and do some things together, do cooperation together, and then they distribute their best practices to other networks of libraries. And I think that's a very functional system. I don't know how unique it is. I don't know what kind of cooperation separate libraries do have, or library means two things. It's either the building of the library or the city library, which means that it has very many branch libraries and so forth. But they, different municipalities, get together and make consortiums. So there's some cooperation from below. And now I give the stage to Tuula for a while. I shall be back in a couple of slides.
Can you hear me? No?
Press the button.
Now, okay. Thanks for your invitation to be here. It was very interesting to hear also about this system in Spain. I was quite horrified when I heard that you have several levels of public libraries working, several administrational levels of public libraries working in one city. Well, I cooperate in a network of 4 neighboring cities, and even that where we are different authorities, under different authorities, it's difficult enough. So good luck in your efforts to somehow combine these, because it's in terms of using resources, well. Some words about the Helsinki City Library. There you see numbers. As Jukka said, they will stay, this presentation will be stayed with you, but the point is that in general the Helsinki City Library is, in terms of usage, user statistics, it's a little under the country average, which is very typical in Finnish big cities. Our highest statistics comes from smaller cities. However, this is internationally very honorable numbers anyway. The basic idea in Finland is that the government and the municipalities are putting in a lot of resources into public libraries, and the citizens are answering by using heavily these libraries. That's the balance in Finland. And I just wanted to show what kind of new openings, nuevos iniciativos we have in Helsinki libraries. We go out from the library, we have not only these load cycles, we have also cycling libraries. And at the moment, we are learning and studying and testing and using games, both physical games and e-games, as a library material. How do they behave? Which are the criteria of good quality games, etc. So these are only some examples. Then what we are networking? We are networking to really many directions. Inside the library branch, when I think about all libraries in Finland, so we have 3 levels. We have this library network inside the city. We have 37 libraries. We have 2 mobile libraries and 10 hospital or similar libraries. And Jukka will later on speak about the new dynamics, which our new central library, which will be built, the building has begun and it will be completed in 2018. So it will change the stage of libraries in Helsinki quite strongly. Then we work with these 3 neighboring cities of ours, which is based on our most important working tool, our library system, integrated library system, ILS. So the thing which is seen by the users is shared by us 4 cities. Then we have a very important countrywide network. And as Jukka said, Helsinki City Library is also the central library for Finnish public libraries, and we coordinate nationwide cooperation whatsoever libraries have. And the further we go in this e-world, the more we need cooperation on national level, because Internet doesn't know anything about municipal borders. Access to e-material should be organized on national and not on the municipal level. So this is getting more and more important, but I am not speaking in my presentation now about it, but I just want you to know that this is the thing which we are developing very strongly at the moment. This is one picture of our library network. We have many libraries. We have 1 library 2 kilometers, 1 library 2 kilometers, 1 library 2 kilometers. This is a very, very tight network compared with other Finnish libraries, Finnish communities. But on the other hand, we also have people, much more people in Helsinki than other cities. So this works very well. But this is not the only network which we have. As I mentioned, we have this cooperation with 3 neighboring cities. And then on our reach and behind the same library card, behind the same library system, we have 65 libraries and 1.4 million inhabitants. In Helsinki we have something like 640,000 people. So from our users' point of view, what they see and what they need is a unified helmet service area. And they really appreciate it, and also our politicians appreciate it very high. Some trends inside the city of Helsinki. The previous speaker already mentioned that this cooperation inside one city, inside one municipality, with other departments is a growing tendency, and indeed we can see that in Helsinki too. We are working with the youth department, cultural department. We are working with the social services and health department, for example, helping people in using their e-resources, etc. And what is the hard currency of public libraries in cities at the moment is the space. We have open and accepting and such a space which is pushing people to positive cooperation and positive communication with each others. And everyone, it seems to me, wants to come and take part in this process, I would say, because we are only in the beginning in using very heavily this city, open city space which we have in cold north. I remind you, we are in the cold north. So it's very important that we have warm cities for citizens. And also other city departments are using our open and public spaces more and more. And now I think we come to to the point of the new Helsinki Central Library. You can see there are some facts behind it or concerning it, but Jukka can tell you the interesting story. How did Helsinki end up to build up, in addition to these very many public libraries, one more, a big, in our terms, gigantic central library?
Thank you, Tuula. Well, the story is longer than my memory of it, it has been under discussion very long time. We do not have a big library building in the downtown of Helsinki. We have one very old, which is very nice, but it's too small to produce all the activities, and we wanted to have a new one. And I think this is a wonderful moment to have a new big library, because there are lots of changes going on in the libraries. So we think of this library as a laboratory where we try new functions of the libraries, where the new library is being developed, and Tuula has been doing excellent work with that. There was, of course, a big political debate. Are we willing to invest 100 million euros to this building? and the even bigger discussion about the rising expenses of the library, keeping up the library network, the everyday expensive libraries are producing. The discussion we had in Helsinki City Council was quite interesting, because there was a struggle, but the struggle was not between people who are against libraries and people who are for libraries, but it was the biggest concern was that if we build this central library, will we do it at the expense of the branch libraries? And so the political left was supporting the branch libraries, and the political center was supporting the central library. And the conservatives decided it, and they said, okay, but you have to save 3 million a year. And so that's a big challenge. And we accepted that only because we know that there's going to be election before this building is running, and we're going to wipe out this 3 million from the papers. But anyway, 3 million is equal amount of money. I mean, we can't save that money by closing down branch libraries, because there's equal amounts of money we use for the rents of all of the branch libraries. We should shut down them all to get that money. So there's some debate going on, and there's a political budget debate is on right now in Helsinki, and we are trying to get some more money for libraries, so that this threat of being forced to save a lot of money would be smaller. But it's going to be a very interesting building. We are thrilled, and it will kind of give a face to the libraries, but also because the use of libraries has changed quite much. There's a new university library in downtown Helsinki, and they are suffering from being overcrowded all the time. There's a lot of people coming there with their laptops, doing their works and so forth, and they're looking very much forward to have, within, I don't know, a few hundred meters, another big monumental library building with lots of space for people to sit down, to have uncommercial open space for all in downtown Helsinki. So we think that's very important. And it's going to be, I think, 300 meters from the Parliament, House of Parliament. So it's very centrally located. It's going to be the new center of the states of Finland.
I want to add something to this discussion, because we knew in advance in the library that the politicians will discuss heavily about the new central library in relation to the branches, existing branches. And we had the opportunity to work with a geographist who is studying numbers in library usage and interpreting them in new ways. And he made a prognosis where he, after all, said that taking in account the growing population of Helsinki, the growing metro network, which is bringing more people from outside cities to Helsinki, and the effect of the new building, the new central library building in the very, very center of the city, there are only 3 or 4 of these 37 libraries which will suffer badly in terms of usage and statistics. That was his prognosis. He was quite careful to try to check that with all kind of methods. So I think we can. I'm very curious to see what happens. I think that the statistics of the library will be exploding with this new library when it will be opened. The last thing which I want to show you is our vision for that opening year of the new central library. We just updated our strategy, but we didn't change this vision because we like it. We like the thing that we enrich the life of the city. And we spread and share and produce ideas and thoughts with people. And this part maybe we have quite well covered. But what is still challenging for us, this by sharing knowledge and skills and stories more actively, still more actively between people, putting them to communicate with each other and together create a new civic society. That's our dream and our vision, and we really try to get towards that. Strategies are not anymore just pieces of papers. They are something really to live on.
There's just a couple of things I wish to add after hearing these wonderful words. If we really want to have fun together, we sit down and start talking about library networks. That's the best thing we can think of. And there's a very interesting discussion going on about them because the city is growing quite rapidly. And that means that the population is spread on a different way. So the existing library network doesn't really provide services to the existing population. It's reflecting the situation that we had for 20 years ago. And that's increasing pressure. We're having deep discussions about, should we have the libraries located so that people who go to work have easy access to that? Or should we have the libraries where people actually do sleep and spend their days and serve the people or produce services for the people who spend their days in these housing areas who are not working? I mean, the mothers with babies or elderly people or school kids and so forth, or the unemployed or the refugees who are not working and so forth. So there's a very interesting discussion going on. The outcome is not very visible yet, but it will be. And the last thing I want to share with you is that to emphasize the meaning of libraries. I mean, in Finland, we do think libraries are important, and that means that the main event or the main thing about our 100th anniversary of independence in the country is building the central library. That's the way we celebrate our independence. And I think the independence was pretty much product of the schools and the libraries, which were used as the founding stones of Finnish nation in the 19th century. So, thank you.